just say a few things about the teaching and the teaching that makes a difference in these centres for the young people. As Glenda said about the environment, relationships are crucial, and it's the same within the teaching relationship between the work. Some centres they don't like to be called teachers; they want to be called workers, and in some centres they want to be called teachers. So again, it's a problem of the terms, and I keep slipping into teacher. So the worker and the young person, the quality of that relationship is really critical. And somebody once said to me, you know, like, in terms of quality of teaching, it's relationship stupid. You know, like it is the quality between the young people and the worker, and based around respect, as in terms of that relationship. I'm not going to deal with these quotes. I'll just make a couple of the key points here about relationships. It's about the fact that it is caring, that it's it's community, it's respectful. Like the word respect came up in so many of our interviews, like over and over again. They respect us here. Even when it came to people not turning up for the day, like in lots of the different centres, people, you know how at schools people, you know, ring the parents, why aren't you at school, or ring the students, why aren't you at school? They would ring and say, you okay? You're not here today. You all right? And it was kind of rephrased. And the young person would go, oh yeah, sorry, I'm on my way. And you know, but it was, can we help you get here? Like a completely different shift. And the young people picked up on that. In terms of engagement with the learning process, what all the research on learning demonstrates is that for young people who've disengaged from schooling, they need to see purpose. It needs to be meaningful. When it seems completely irrelevant, detached from real life, many young people who see no point to schooling anyway, very rarely engage. What some of these kids had said to us when we asked about the learning is, one says, it's more like life skills kind of thing as well. It's not sit down and do it in a book, read from a book kind of thing. It's teaching you how to kind of live, I think, and the subjects they offer. And while some of those subjects weren't all necessarily life skills, like we saw some of the most amazing artwork at one centre, and music performances and so on, as well as engagement with academic work, like incredibly creative, busy places these are. It's not a lot of sitting down. They come, teachers, workers, and talk to you and check on how you're doing. Like if you don't understand something, they'll come and help you. It's just they're more supportive, I think, as well. Again, a lot of the young people spoke to us about their experiences of mainstream schooling, of how they would get in trouble if they didn't understand it, or the teacher might try 2 or 3 times and then move on. Whereas at the centres, and again, it's partly the worker-young person ratio, there was time to sit down and really make sure they understood it, trying it from different ways, and a sense of patience with the young person. Flexible, allowing time to explore, create, complete, achieve. The whole thing with due dates I've never really got. And my students at university often hold me to that and hand in late assignments. But really, you know, the whole purpose of the due date, like, what's that about? Right? Isn't it about what students can learn and can demonstrate? If it takes them a bit longer, so what? Right? They've demonstrated they can learn. And what often happens, and again, you know, go back to Liz's story, you can imagine how life events get in the way of finishing your essay on, you know, Lord of the Flies or whatever, right? That some other things take priority. Right? And in these centres, it's, well, let's get it done, let's get it learned. Right? We're not so much worried about the time factor. And so they talk about it being self-paced and about being able to hand assignments in whenever they're ready. It was sort of hard to know what to expect going into these centres and talking to some of the young people. And I think what really struck us is these young people, who many of whom have been written off by mainstream sector, like the dreams and ambitions that they have, like incredibly powerful. I'm just going to show you just 3 of those, but I can, you know, and again, we could pull one out of every interview quote we've done with some, over 100 young people. And one person says, ideally in a dream world, I would go to NIDA and do the acting course, and then go to London and train in the William Shakespeare Company. I've already done a few short courses with NIDA. Another one says, I'm truly going to be a child psychologist. That's my 10-year goal. So I want to go to uni and get like a degree, because there's like community services can go into Cert 2 or a diploma or stuff like that. So I want to go and get my degree. But I want to start off being like a counsellor and then sort of slowly work up to being a child psychologist. Another young, I have to tell you, at this one centre we went to, I have seen the smallest mechanics uniforms, overalls ever. They look like they've come from a kind of dress-up shop, like this 12-year-old in a little mechanics outfit, getting under cars and doing all sorts of amazing things. But at this centre, one young boy said to us, because I'm not quite old enough, I'm going to go to year 10, or I want to either go back to year 10 or stay here and do it again. But I want to get my year 10 certificate. I want to be able to get that and then come back here and get all 3 of my job cards, so maybe I can go and get a job as a mechanic. Like, these are kids who are seen as having, as being no hopers within mainstream schools. What they've said to us in the last couple of slides is that the problem is that really there is nothing, like, people don't know about these centres. Like, one person told us they only knew about it because of her mother's drug dealer had told her that there was this great centre over on this, on this particular suburb that they should look at. Like, there isn't a great deal of ways in which young people can find out about all the centres that are available. One said to us, and this was a concern for some of these young people, I wish there were more schools like this one that I did to do year 11 and 12, because this one only goes to year 10. So I'm freaking out, because I don't know what I want to do, because I want to finish year 12 after the school, but I can't, because there's no real options, because I don't want to go back to a mainstream school. Another young person, told us that they needed to create more of these small schools, like say in just main suburban areas. I reckon it would have a huge popular demand, and kids would be safe from going down the wrong track. So for many of these kids, this wasn't, like there's a whole notion in the academic literature about second chance schooling. For many of these kids, this wasn't second, it was third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh chance. And finally they found that really they felt at home and felt was making a difference in their lives. And so what this young person says that we thought was really critical about why these centres were so important is they treat us like the people that we could be without that support kind of thing. Right? There's never any kind of judgments. It's not a judgmental place. Nobody has deficit understandings of us as young people. They recognise who we could be and will be. And that's our report. Thanks.